How we doing?
Doing great. We've been discussing the presents that are coming for Carrie's girls this year and the fine cats that are on camera now. Doing a little audio check, making sure everyone can hear us.
I can't hear the cats. Can you have them say meow?
Can you say meow? Oh, they're not that well trained yet. We're still working at trying to go potty in the toilet. Huh.
That's got to be something to see. We'll give it a few more minutes here. I'm going to be respectful of everybody's time. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay.
I can hear you fine, loud and clear.
Great. I want to thank you for putting this together, Jim. We really appreciate the opportunity to represent with BAI, and we appreciate your partnership. And we certainly enjoy the opportunity to talk with anybody and everybody at this time, especially dealing with COVID and not being able to get out and do this in person. We've got to make the best of it.
Yep. That's why we felt we had to do something before the year ended, because I know that a lot of dealers out there are just like going crazy with all this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of information out there. We get a lot of video fatigue. I know we're constantly in meetings and on camera and doing things virtually. So any way we can shake it up and put some fun into the day and really be able to talk about some solutions and how it can help us during these times is really the important part. And we're going to get into some of that here. And so we're coming up on a couple minutes. I see a few more people jumping in. Give it another minute.
Go ahead and maybe get started on just doing an introduction, and then I'll keep letting people in.
Okay.
And maybe at the top of 20, we'll go ahead and officially get into your slides.
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, good morning, everybody. Carrie Manasseh is kind of my wingman today, and she is your territory sales manager for the state of Florida. So I rely on her, and I'm really support for her. And she asked me to come on and regale you with some great tales of connectivity. So we're going to go through some challenges that we're seeing out there in the marketplace, the trends out there. My name is Rich LaPak. I've been with Legrand for about 10 years now. Prior to that, I was with Cables to Go. So we were acquired. I was acquired there for a player to be named later. And we were still working out the transaction of what they're going to get in return. Worked with Mid-Atlantic. I probably have met some of you over the years, whether it be at trade shows. I had worked in the Florida market some. I'm actually located in Greenville, South Carolina. I've got a couple different roles that I'm fulfilling right now. The regional brand sales manager, or what you see the acronyms after my name there, means that I am the specialist for C2G in the South, which includes 11 states, the way we break that territory out, from Texas all the way across the Tola states and on down from the Carolinas and Tennessee. I also work with the IT resellers that we mostly do C2G through, but I do cover all 7 brands for Legrand AV, and that would be Middle Atlantic, Daylight, Chief, Vadio, Luxol, Wiremold, and C2G. I think we've got all of them in there. So we've got a great family of products, and we're going to talk a little bit about the connectivity today, which is really the glue on all these infrastructure products. And if you really think about the way Legrand has positioned all 7 of these brands within Legrand AV, it really is a infrastructure product. We've got the great content, and especially now it's so important with our audio and our distance learning systems. But everything else we have is a infrastructure product, and really the glue for the system is the connectivity. But we rely on the mounts, we rely on the wire mold to manage the cabling. We've got the Middle Atlantic power, the ability to cool our gear, manage it correctly and remotely. So some exciting stuff. Really, all you have to do is take a look at all our brands. You can build a room and just add a display and you're ready to go. So we're going to talk about a little bit of other products, but mostly we're going to concentrate on C2G and the solutions for those applications today. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's take a look at what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about some current trends and challenges. Let's face it, everybody, we have to deal with social distancing. How can we manage that? What does that mean for our business as manufacturers, as resellers, as distributors and integrators? What does it mean for us, and how do we adjust to those market conditions out there? We've got space limitations now. We have to spread out. What does that mean? What do we have to do to our systems? And how does that change the way we look at design of these systems? And we have to have mobile device integration. We really need to be able to take all of these devices out there and be able to connect them and be able to do it seamlessly and share our content. So we're going to talk about some C2G solutions, and there are so many with 8,000 SKUs that I really felt a way to break that down and take a look at it was by key application. So you can kind of see where a lot of these products fit in the designs and applications that our customers are asking for and the end users are asking for, more importantly, out there in the marketplace. We're going to look at some conference rooms and boardrooms, some digital signage applications, as well as the classrooms and lecture halls. And by no means are any one of these solutions only slated for those key applications. You can use them across the board, right? Some may fit depending upon your space, depending upon what you're trying to connect. So really, it's just a way for us to break this down and look at it by application instead of just jumping through a bunch of different products and looking at speeds and feeds. Then we're going to look at some services that we also provide, some value add, if you will, in things that make us unique and differentiated in the market, and some things that will help you and help BAI and help you go through them to set up some kit projects. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about our custom capabilities and the ability to make custom bundles, do custom colors, labeling, those types of things that will help you as well. And then we'll talk about some additional training resources to wrap it up and where you can find additional information and what we're here to help you with that. So we're going to focus today on the C2G products. We'll make this virtual connection happen. And let's jump in on that. Advance the slide. And really what it is about is how do we turn this guy's problems up here and all those cables everywhere, the frustration he's going through to try and get that, how do we turn that into this? And I'd just like to point out this picture just a little bit. It really is a summary of kind of what I started off with, what the Legrand AV brands bring to the table. You can see there, we've moved the chairs out of the way. Hopefully we're doing social distancing correctly in this room. So you can see a look at the Middle Atlantic T5 table. In that table, you've got the wire mold table boxes with retractors for your cabling that are filled with the C2G cables. You have the cable and connectivity going over to the C5 credenza against the wall, covered by the wire mold over the floor raceway. You've got the Middle Atlantic power and the cooling and the credenza, the monitors held up by our chief mounts. We've got the slide out mount onto the side, which you can actually connect all of your small accessories, your transmitters and receivers right there, and slide them out for easy service. And you also have the audio cameras capturing everything, which is necessary in this day and age. So every brand represented there, including Luxel for your network switch. The only one that's not in there would be Daylight. All we have to do is replace the screens with a projector, and then you'd have every brand with projection screen in that particular picture. I thought that was a kind of a cool application there. So let's jump in and talk about some challenges that we have. It is a COVID reality. It really is what we have to attack now. So this particular picture in the room we're showing probably can't use all those chairs. We might have to remove every other or even every third chair will be the only ones that be occupied. So it really brings into some limitations of what we can do in design. And what we have seen in the past is these types of rooms and applications were made for synchronous learning or meeting. We're all learning and having a meeting at the same place at the same time. Very, very in sync, if you will. The new reality is that we have to redesign and we have to spread out. We've got to follow the get our job, still learn the lesson that's being taught by the university or whatever, K through 12 even. So what has happened now is that it is asynchronous learning, that we're all learning at different times or in different places. If I can't be in a meeting, I'm going to have to watch the recording later. So it's learn at your own pace. Distance learning, if you want to put that in a meeting versus an education scenario, be able to do that. It is a reality. It is a hybrid learning or hybrid meeting reality. We have to have the ability to do both now in this new COVID reality that dictates that we all social distance correctly. So with that hybrid reality, what's that look like? We've got space limitations. Not everybody has these large rooms. Prior to the COVID breaking out, huddle rooms were the big buzzword. That's what we were seeing. That's what everybody was deploying out there. So those space limitations now have to come into play in our design. Do we have people in our huddle rooms connecting remotely into the big room, or vice versa for learning? So distance learning is required. It is a requirement now. We've got to get cameras. We've got to have the ability to capture that and share that. We also, that means that we have to have a quality AV system, right? Grab a drink there. Back one. Quality AV system is a must. We have to have the ability to share and capture content. And that's very important nowadays. And it's important that's a good quality out there. So we have to have that quality video. And we also have to have quality audio. The video can break up a little bit every now and then. We may get some buffering, and that's kind of okay. We can still follow along as long as we can hear and have that quality audio system. So all of these things have to be taken into account when we're doing designs, when we're talking to the end users, and we're talking about what solutions make sense for what we're trying to accomplish and what they're trying to accomplish in their space. How do we get that done? Here comes the CARES Act. So the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act has come into play and really kind of saved our industry. And what we've seen out there is a focus on education. We have to make sure our children get educated. We prepare them for the future. It's been a real challenge of how we can do that, especially when we're looking at an economy that has been up and down, and mostly down, and a lot of people are suffering out there. So this CARES Act is really needed, and it has provided really a pathway for us as manufacturers, resellers, and integrators to provide our services out there in the marketplace and really take advantage, I don't want to say take advantage of that dollars, but really provide us with the ability to take advantage, and I'll say it again, take advantage of the marketplace and really save our business, because corporate business is really far behind. We're really seeing the growth pattern right now in education and how we handle this COVID and what is next. So the big question is, how do we connect? We've got all of these devices. Everybody's got a different phone, whether it be iPhone, Google, Pixel, you name it. We all bring different platforms into a meeting space or a learning or carry with us, and we have to be able to connect and share that. What do we do to get there? I don't think too many people really have this guy around. I don't even know if we want Jim Carrey actually as our cable guy, but what we do have is BAI and C2G here to help you navigate that. So let's jump in and look at some of the key applications and how we can overcome these challenges and these tools that are available to you to help you do that. Let's first take a look at conference rooms and boardrooms and some of the challenges that they face, right? So connectivity for all devices, just like we said, everybody's bringing something different into the room by chance. A lot of organizations now have moved away from providing the standard laptops, so we all have the same laptop or tool. It's going to be, but get whatever you like. We'll help you pay for that, and we'll make sure that we've got the ability to connect where needed. And it's really about being more comfortable with those devices. And they've also found, a lot of companies have found that we take better care of those devices if they're our own and not ones assigned to us by the company. So connectivity for all devices. The spreading out means we've got some limitations. Cables can only go so far. Signal can only go so far before we have to change it, amplify it, or extend that. So let's make sure that we're able to do that. We have to be able to share our screens seamlessly. We've got to be able to go back and forth from you to me, collaborate, make sure that we're providing the ability to do so. And what are we going to do if we got to load software, right? So Legrand, we have very tight security, and loading software takes a little bit of a blessing and an act from above to get some things done. So getting the IT department is never involved is never really fun. So we kind of want to maybe look at some standards-based stuff out there where we don't have to do that. And then, of course, security. We have to be able to secure our data and secure our equipment as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that and some of the C2G solutions to help you do that. And the first one I want to talk about today, and I want to stop here a little bit. I'm kind of going on and on here. If there are questions, Carrie, please interrupt me, jump in at any time to do so. This is your session here, folks. So if you have questions or want me to stop or clarify something, please jump in. C2G has brought out adapter rings, and these have really provided the ability to connect all your devices into HDMI, which is really the most common, the ubiquitous connector for all of our displays out there. It is an easier way to extend HDMI than USB-C or DisplayPort or others, which have strict limitations on distances they can go. So we've developed these adapter rings for you, and they've got a couple different features that are awesome for you. They are color coded, which means, not a lot of the end users may be able to tell me what a mini DisplayPort versus a USB-C looks like, or vice versa, or what these connectors are. So once you've identified the one you need, you can just say, hand me that yellow one or hand me that green one, and away you go. We have USB-C, mini DisplayPort, and DisplayPort to HDMI is a standard offering. It's the most common out there. We also have the ability to do VGA or Lightning connectors, or any combination of those. So it is customizable for you as well. And it is perfect for all of these things. And we've got 3 different form factors that we've brought to market to help you find the right one and get that connectivity where you need it. First is the one that attaches to the HDMI cable. It is a great little tool. It's got a stopper on it, which means I can slide those adapters out of the way when I don't need it if I've got an HDMI output on my source device. All the tools you need are included with that. And of course, there's a lifetime warranty, which on all of the terminated cables here at C2G carry. So that's a really nice one to do that. We've also been able to bring out some unique form factors for that. And we've got a really nice retractor. This one is compatible with our AVIP boxes from WireMold. Is also compatible with the Extron boxes and FSR and some others out there. And it really gives us the ability to then put them in the box, hide them when they're not in use, and really be able to manage that. The actual cable will extend out to 5 feet. Ensures that the adapters are there for you in reach, and the tools are there as well. And of course, the lifetime warranty. And the other thing I'd like to point out is that this has been tested for 20,000 cycles. That's a lot of cycles to be able to pull that in and out. I believe the math works out to 10 a day for every day in 7 years before you would reach that 20,000 cycles. So really there to last for the lifetime of your system. The other version of that is the surface mountable. I see somebody's got a motorcycle driving by their house. And this form factor attaches to any flat surface. It's the same retractor cable on it. Very robust cable. easy to cut with wire cutters, but you better bring some good ones in there if you want to get it done. Nice form factor, really gives the ability to put it on attach to a side of a lectern or even underneath the table to get it out of the way. But putting those connectors and where you need them in the room is a great tool to be able to do that. We also carry a full line of HDMI and USB-C adapters, and I'll jump into some USB-C and kind of talk a little bit about what that is and what that means to the industry and that trend a little bit later on here. But we've got a number of these to help you do what you need to do, get it connected. We've got one school district, I keep saying VGA is dead, and we talk about that needs to go away. But there are a ton of legacy displays out there that only have VGA inputs. And we have the ability to help you get the modern technology into those inputs, get your content into that display, and really extend the life and the service life of those particular displays or projectors that do not have the modern connectors on that. So really a problem-solving line, and I'm here to help you do that. We can continue on with that as well with DisplayPort and mini DisplayPort. These MST hubs, multi-stream transport hubs, are excellent for whether it be a lectern or I use one here in my house. I've got the DisplayPort to HDMI for my two monitors, and that MST hub is a great little tool to be able to provide you with extended laptop display at the desktop or to a projector for your speakers, right? And all of these really wouldn't be fair to talk about them without pointing out our HDMI line. And some of the exciting stuff here going on at C2G as we brought them under the AV umbrella this year is that we are refreshing this line, and we are rolling out a premium line, if you will, and it will be identifiable connectors that you'll start to see coming in at the end of the year and into next year, where the connectors will be our logo on there, our colors on there, very identifiable right now. It's basic cables that you'll see labeled accordingly to what they are. But this particular one is one that will stick around and that we do a lot with. Very flexible, small gauge. It only goes to 6 feet because of that small gauge, because if we extend that, our gauge would have to go up in order for us to hit that 4K resolution and make sure that we've got the full 4K and Ethernet and all that other good stuff that we want to share over that HDMI connector. So a full family of HDMI, these flexible ones are great for inside the rack. I use them here as my desktop. When we used to travel, I'd carry them with me just to make sure I could connect in your boardroom or wherever we were when we were doing training or meeting about the Legrand AV brands. So don't forget all those patch cord cables, all of those things. And then we also have to have the ability to extend HDMI, and we can do that with our active cables through our chipsets. Really great solutions for you to extend beyond that 50 foot. I like to use 50 foot as a design limitation for non-active cables, and that's 50 foot in total from your source through the wall plate or others strictly to the display. So you won't see any standard cables from C2G over 50 feet. And then we've got the other distance beaters that we also carry. So the HDMI distribution amps and switchers. We've got a couple matrix options for you. Many to one, one to many helps us with those distance limitations. They're very nice form factor, easily hidden or managed that way, or even rack mounted in our Middle Atlantic products. So take a little break here, everybody with me. Any questions so far? Good, we'll plow on here.
Questions. We've had a lot of people, they're up to, I think more than 11. There's 11 plus, so keep it going.
Awesome. A new product from C2G on that line of that HDMI switch is the conference room video hub. And this is really something we were asked to bring out. We do a lot of FedGov business and some others where attaching through the internet or wirelessly is not secure in their mind. So we needed a hardwire solution for them. This is a great, elegant little switch. It's got 2 HDMI, it's got 2 USB-C inputs. It's made to sit nicely on top of the table, be portable, or even locked down through the Kensington security slot system. It's really simple, last in, first out type of thing, as well as you'll see the push button there on the top allows you to cycle through those inputs. And it's really a cost-effective way to provide you with multiple connectivity at a table. And you can extend those cables to get your 6 feet apart, make sure you're still social distancing. Of course, that's 4K, and it is a nice little product there for you. One thing of note that you will see next year will be a wireless 5G version of this. So that was always the question we got with this. We have a wireless version, so it will be wireless. So you'll have a nice little puck that you can put anywhere and do line of sight through 5G to the receiver and the display. So this many-to-one solution, no need for that IT guy, and it is secure. So let's talk about another application, which brings about some other products that we carry here at C2G, and that's digital signage. Some of the same challenges. We've got technology distance limitations. A lot of these signs are going to be in weird places or out in the middle of lobbies, so we got to make sure we're able to get that signal there over that long distance, whether it be under the floor or over the ceiling or wirelessly. We have bandwidth constraints. We got to be able to make sure that we don't have this huge chunk of bandwidth that's required for these, and be able to compress that signal and decompress it and make sure we can go those long distance and not overload any network that we may be using for AV over IP. It's got to be simple. We got to make sure that we can scale it, and it also has to make sure that it works across all platforms and be interoperable. So there's a few things that we can do in this area and provide you with solutions for that. Hopefully, most of you were able to join my partner yesterday, Brian Retzlaff, when he did a very nice IP presentation and some of the audio products that are here to help you. He also talked about the next product I'm going to share with you, and that is the C2G over IP. But I want to talk about AV over IP just a second. You hear that word and that buzzword. It's a current trend in the industry. Everybody's looking at AV over IP, whether it be esports or other applications out there. There are a ton of flavors out there, and SMPTE has been driving a standard 2110 used in the broadcast area. Very slick, very robust system, very expensive to deploy as well. H.264 and 265, a common compression algorithm that our product actually uses, the JPEG 2000, which is really the platform for easy IP. So you can see that there's a lot out there. AVB, audiovisual bridging, all can leverage our Luxel switches. So there are a lot of different flavors out there. NDI is another one that we carry cameras for as well. So a lot of different flavors out there. So make sure when you hear AV over IP, you kind of know that there may be some differences out there, and depending upon what manufacturer proprietary solution they're using, you may want to take that into consideration and have to take it into consideration for your design. Let's talk a little bit about C2G's application for that and our entry into that market.
Rich, as you switch over here, we did have a question. Is there a vendor program? I'm not sure exactly what that question entails or what it means.
Yes, as we worked with our reseller partners in BAI, depending upon what your program would mean, whether it be a Legrand AV program that you would have with us, we develop on a one-on-one basis to really develop a program that's right for you, depending upon what segment of the business you're in, and really the definition of our partnership and how we work together. I know that's a pretty obscure answer, but that's a pretty broad question, actually.
Yeah, so, and maybe it's something also to, we can work through BAI as far as program putting special pricing together. We do have special pricing programs that we work through BAI. They will then contact us, or you can contact us directly, and we push it through BAI to give you special pricing on programs. We can work designs with you. So even Brian, if you were on the call with Brian yesterday, he is part of our application engineering program, which we can help then design an entire project with all different applications in it, and we can then provide you an MSRP quote that would then be passed on to Jim and team to go ahead and give you special pricing. Or if it qualifies, we could go ahead and register it as you being the designer, and again pass through that special pricing through BAI. So we do have a lot of programs available, and we can take it as a sidebar. If you send me, I think, a special chat within the app, we can go ahead and maybe answer that more in depth and figure out what would work best for you as well.
And I'll have some time here at the end if we want to jump in and deep dive a little bit more particular into those types of things. But I would reach out to my BAI representative and who you're working with there, and we can work with you to fit the suit jacket just right to meet your needs, and that's what we're here for. C2G's AV over IP. It's really HDMI over AV over IP, and using a network or network topology to really deliver that signal. It is leveraging that 2.64, H.264 and 265, and it's a compression algorithm which allows us to send that high-res signal with using very limited bandwidth. So that's when we a way that we conquer our bandwidth constraints is leveraging that protocol of H.264 and those types of codecs that are out there, encoders and receivers. It's really easier to kind of take a look at what an application would look like out there. You can do many sources to each encoder that would encode that signal. It would leverage a Luxel switch or other switch, if you would. We prefer Luxel. We set them up to help you manage these types of applications. And it's great for video walls, digital signage. We can send it long distance. We can send it over the internet. A lot of different capabilities there. And we have a nice little controller that will just manage those signals as far as what goes to what. And we'll work with all third-party control systems out there. Anything that needs can provide 232 or IR control, and it is very scalable. We can keep adding devices on here. We can go right up to about 600 devices, really, if you really needed to, before we start looking at some constraints that we might want to take into consideration. And these types of designs, as Carrie said, is really what our organization and our solutions engineering team can help you with. Put this all together for you and really kind of take some of that heavy lifting off of your plate. If you are a designer or an integrator or a reseller out there, a lot of that stuff is time consuming. We've got the resources here at Legrand AV to help navigate that and do what we really need to do. Speaking of HDMI, we have to be able to extend that, right? One of C2G's initiatives, and we're refreshing this line, and you're going to see a lot of new exciting products as we get into the next year, is AV over HDBaseT, and hopefully everyone's kind of familiar with that. It's a very robust. It can deliver power, control, audio, and video over one single CAT cable, and it does it up to 300 feet very easily. There will be extensions that we can do a little bit longer. It really depends on what you're trying to connect and the version of the HDBaseT chipsets that are in there. So what really happens is we plug our digital signal in there. It changes the signal type to electrical and uses that based over the LAN type of cable or CAT cable, if you will. It is not a networked signal. It is a point-to-point signal. And I'm very excited that we'll be bringing out a bunch of cool new products, all taking advantage of the newest chipsets that the consortium of Valens, who works with a bunch of manufacturers to create this standard, we roll it out. We're big on standards here at C2G, and we're going to stick to the specs and the standards, and HDBaseT certified product is really part of our portfolio and our roadmap going forward as we move into the AV space, more away from the IT side, at least at the C2G brand level. With that said, we have to have some certified HDBaseT cables. We have worked with our partner to come up with a very continuous shielding, which means it's a little bit more flexible, but also it avoids the need for grounding because of that shielding. And it actually gives us a flexible cable because it's discontinuous. And the science behind it, which is way beyond me, it repels even more alien crosstalk and all of the other interference that we can run into. So some really nice pre-terminated cables for when your signal has to be right, it has to be there, and it has to be at the right resolution. We also carry a full family of patch cables in multiple different colors. We can get you your color you want if you have a certain color you like. Most of the times it's for different signals, but we have the ability to actually create different colors for you if one of our standard colors doesn't quite fit that. But up to 11 different colors that we do carry. Snags, the booted cables that you see here, non-booted connectors as well, plenum and non-plenum, shielded and unshielded twisted pair as well. So keep that in mind. We've got a lot of category cables, some thinner ones to help you with your patch bays and things of that nature, depending upon what type of business you're in and what type of systems you're really deploying out there. Let's take a look at some classrooms and lecture halls and kind of break down this a little bit differently. Pretty similar challenges to what we saw in classrooms or in boardrooms, where we have to have connectivity for all the devices, depending upon if it's a flipped classroom or how you're doing your learning out there. You may need connectivity for the students to share. We have to have the ability for them to share, whether it be through Teams, Zoom, or other that we're using as a teaching platform over distance for our hybrid learning or our asynchronous learning out there. So having that connectivity is still there. We have the same distance limitations. We have to spread out more. So we have further distances to run these cables and run these signals to take that into consideration into our design. And we need centralized AV and data connectivity, usually for the instructor at the instructor station or the lectern for those instructors. So we have to take that into consideration. And we need simplified and consolidated room control. Not all classrooms, especially K through 12, can afford to or can get either IP addresses in each room or have the control system that meets their budget and their needs. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And that would be capturing that economy of scale, being able to deploy multiple rooms and be able to do so economically. And I don't really care for the term value engineered, but that's what it is, right? We're going to engineer it to the best possible way and make sure that we've got the right solution for you at the right price. Let's talk about some of those items to help that. And one of those is the docking stations. C2G has a big family of docking stations. That was a big push for us as we moved into this year. Really for the IT side of the business drove this for us at the desktop level. But we're seeing this in AV now with the advent of the USB-C connector. And I'll talk a little bit about USB-C here coming up. But that centralized connectivity for data transfer to be able to take an output of a laptop, tablet, or phone or other device and be able to get that in the format that I need it, whether I need it in HDMI or I need DisplayPort for my display, giving me more USB connections, even our VGA connection, be able to charge and deliver power as well. Very powerful connector that is capable of a lot of different things, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But the USB-C docking stations are really the gateway that bridges all the portable and installed technology, provides network, AV, peripheral devices, signal distribution, as well as power and charging. So what is USB-C? Let's take a peek at what that is. It's kind of all these connectors and microphones and audio signals and video and DisplayPort all wrapped into one. It is a different shaped connector. If anybody has bought a phone in the last few years or a tablet, you're starting to see USB-C everywhere. Actually, Thunderbolt has moved to this form factor. even Apple will start to have, they promised, I haven't seen too many of them yet, to have this connector on there. So does that really mean we've got one connector to stop them all, or, you know, we don't have to have a whole bundle of different connectors? We're seeing it in laptops, computers, and what if they all had that same connector? Really, it kind of started as an idea to keep chargers out of landfills and those things, but it really has been developed in this great connector that gives us so much what we can do with our signal, and all of the things that we can do with USB-C are very exciting, and it really is kind of the future of our industry, because every and all device is really going to move to this connector. Just as we saw HDMI, we're starting to see monitors that are powered and get their video and their audio and everything through this one connector. So it's already here. It's really something us as AV integrators and resellers and manufacturers have to take into account and provide an ability to extend it and interface with it. So it's very important connector going forward in our industry, and it's really something what it's capable of. And my favorite is that it has no 3-spin connectivity. It is symmetrical for both sides. So usually when I had a USB cable, it would be, nope, didn't go in, spin it, nope, didn't go in. Oh, I had it right the first time. I spin it 3 times before I can get it to work. That all goes away with USB-C. So hopefully everybody has seen that connector or had some experience with it. But what goes on inside is pretty exciting. And I'm not going to into the technology behind this. It gets into a deep dive there. And we have courses to do so. If everybody's familiar with Joe Cornwall, he does some great USB-C classes, and you can all find that in Legrand AV University. And I'll share that with you at the very end as an additional resource for you. It's amazing kind of what it will do. 4 bidirectional data lanes. It can do multiple monitors. It supports 4K. It has high-speed data. Simultaneously can give you USB 2.0 as well. So it's really powerful connector in what it can do with USB 3.1 and the alternate mode, being that it can alternate between technologies at the same time through this small connector. Very powerful out there. And you ask, how can it do that? Well, it does it through electronically marked cable assemblies that are made especially for that. You'll start to see cables with a Thunderbolt marker on it. That is a electronically marked cable assembly for Thunderbolt. All of these devices communicate because they can tell when they plug it in what it is and what you want from me. Do you want power? Do you want my video signal? Can you handle the video signal? That's where we have to make sure our devices are capable of that, as we found that U and universal USB is not so universal, right? So sometimes they won't work because that billboard chip is not present in your device and not the cable. It's not the cable's problem, it may be your device. So just wanted to point that out. A lot going on with USB-C. If you haven't jumped in and learned anything about it, we've got a ton of resources for you, and I encourage you to take advantage of that. You can tell by just from the forecasted shipments, the opportunity we have in this industry. We really have the ability to take this and see the growth of it as we saw the growth of HDMI. So remember, it was only 2009 when digital really came into play. And it's been, what, 11 short years that we have gotten this far. So the lifetime of technology goes from years now to months as we see new things come out each and every day, and gives us some really nice ability to provide products in the marketplace that really hit home. So the docking stations bring it all together. The USB-C connectivity, the Thunderbolt. We've got over 18 of these options to meet your applications that we have at C2G. So different form factors, different versions, different connectivity on those docks and adapters to do so. So we have a great 5-year warranty on all of these, and make sure that you check it out and you consider these, whether it be for your home use or in your systems, as the actual launching point for all the signals that come in the room.
Rich, we do have a question. What is the max distance for the USB-C currently?
The 10 gig speed is at 1 meter. So once you start going farther than that, you'll start to see some reduction in speed and resolution. We carry up to, I want to say 9 feet is our limitation for USB-C. We really want to make sure that we're looking at what we're connecting and what we want to get out of that particular system. So we can extend it further. We may not be at that full gigabit speed, the super speed that is part of that. So we really want to take a look at what your application is and make sure we recommend the right way to do that. We have AOC cables that can extend USB 3.1 or 3.0 that we actually have from the Vadio line that we will be also getting into the C2G line, some different versions of that. It got you as well because it will do the 3.0 and we can connect them to our huddle shot cameras, but it will not do backward compatibility because it is an optical cable and not copper. So there's some products out there that really needs to look at your design and make sure that we're giving you the right proper solution for those. And that's why we have that solutions team that's out there to help you navigate that. And we've got some great resources to make sure that we've got the ability to help you with that. And I'm one of those for you, and your team at BAI is as well. So hopefully that answers your question. USB-C, if you go look at the USB 3.1, that's where the standard is to look at that. The USB-C is just the connector that helps deliver that specification of USB. So that's a good thing to make sure that you understand. It's not just the connector that is that technology. The connector is just a pathway to get you to take advantage of that particular technology. Answer the question? So some time hopefully here at the end to do so as well. I did want to look at the control part of that, shift gears just a tad from that. C2G is not a control company. We don't have a control brand per se within our umbrella of AV brands, but we do have one controller that we offer, and this was a big ask from us. Please give us something that is simple and easy to use. We don't have the budget for Crestron or AMX or some of the other great third-party control systems out there. We just want to be able to turn things on in a certain room. We don't need to have, we can't afford to put an IP address for a controller in each room. So our AV controller has been a strong product for us, especially in education and really for big rollouts for that. So we see them in the classroom, the conference room, and the lecture hall as well. It is a control simplified. It provides that centralized control, as we talked about, for AV equipment in classrooms and conference rooms. It supports multiple control signal types. It's got two RS-232 controls that it can control 2 different devices via that protocol. It also has IR. It also has a 12-volt trigger for your screens. It is a very easy to program. I can do it, so I know it's easy. It's very simple GUI where you drag and drop. You've got 8 different buttons there on front that you can actually pick what you want. It comes with sheets of different buttons. So you've got HDMI, picture, or words. You can do all sorts of things with those buttons depending upon what you would like to get accomplished in the room. And it has a real-time clock built in, so it supports timed events, which was big in K through 12, especially where they're still using lamp-based projectors and want to make sure they get turned off to lengthen the time of the lifespan of those lamps that are in those projectors. So very robust for this. Each button is programmable with 4 different commands, and you can program one to fire all, so you have 32 commands at once. So when I press the on button, I can drop the screen, turn on the projector, turn on my DVR and other. Also, you'll see on the front of the controller there, that little black box down on the bottom right is actually an IR learning window. That window is perfect for when, oh, I didn't have the code for the DVD to program that. So I can actually IR learn it there in the room. And then the little window door next to it that's actually a cover over a micro USB port is actually made for helping you program it either with a laptop and the cable connector, or I can send my tech in the field the actual program. He loads it onto his thumb drive, uses a USB Go key that comes with the actual controller, plugs it into the front of it, and uploads the code from that USB with 3-button push. And you can also download the updated code through the IR learning that we've just taught it to do. So very robust. And let's talk about some key things that you should remember with that. One is it's centralized control. It's easy install and program, great for large scale. You can go from one room to the other and program it. It's got the timed events, and it's a great value add to any system with an IR remote. And its cost is under $300 MSRP, really about the same price as to replace a remote control. So if you've got any system with an IR remote that's going in out there, any sales team or value add is, instead of having to replace your remote or worry about batteries or where it went or have a basket of remotes on the table, this is a great add-on to a simple system to help you control what's in the room and make sure that you can do it at a budget and do it well and not have to break the bank, so to speak. Any other questions? Carrie, how we doing? We doing okay on time?
We're doing good. We don't have any other questions.
Cool. Let's talk about some services that we can do, a little bit of value add here at C2G. Kitting is a great way to protect your design out there. You know, if you're putting together a system as a reseller and you've got, you know, that your design may be bid on or whatever, we can put together a kit of C2G products, whether it be your wall plate, your patch cables, your extenders, put that all together, and it becomes a part number that is specific to you who asked for it. It can be for multiple rooms. It can be for one-off. We don't need to make this a quantity thing, but we will actually put this together for you in one part number, simplified ordering, one price. All components will come in a single package and make it easy. If you're doing 20 rooms, I can go drop them in each room and not have to unpack it and get all these different connectors and everything from different places and build your own box to go in each room. Really helps you save time out in the field. It's a fantastic way. And we do this every day at C2G. We get requests to build kits and make sure that we give you the proper cables and to limit that job site waste. It's all part of that sustainability that Legrand is very big on. So we can set these up for you and really start to leverage some of our products out there and stop that internet shopping, if you will. Along with that kitting is our custom capabilities. We can create those custom solutions for you. Part of that is that kitting. We can help with some inventory management, whether that be staggered shipments. We can modify stock cables. We can bundle. We can label. We can make different colors. And we do all of this in Dayton, Ohio, so very locally done and very locally controlled. If there's big runs of that, we will actually set up our factory for you. If you would like your logo embedded in a certain cable for resale, we can do that for you, and that will be set up at our factory level. So really some great solutions for you and some value add and I haven't heard of any other cable company that's really out there promoting this and able to do this on the scale that we are. We've been doing this for over 30 years. Really is a strength of our team up there in Dayton. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that we have other training sources for you. We touched on USB-C and docking stations. We have a great docking station white paper. I've attached a few documents to the app here for the tech tour. Make sure that you look at those. It has some core solutions and some other guides. It's got a docking station guide in there as well, which lists all of our solutions and what they can do and what they will do. And we also offer a lot of CTS. We work hand in hand with the VIXA. We have all the RUs you would need at our Legrand AV University to get your 30 renewal units that you need every 3 years. So make sure you go to Legrand AV and you check that out. Make sure that you know that you've got some other resources there for you. And also on that website, I'd like to point out our specifier zone. So underneath the resources tab on the Legrand AV website, you will find the specifier zone and some other resources, including white papers, case studies, you name it, will all be there. And as all of our brands move to Legrand AV, I think C2G will probably be last, Mid-Atlantic's in progress right now. We will all eventually be there, but this will be your depository or your resource for all of our technical documents, the drawings, the CAD, the Revit models, all of that there. And you'll find down the right-hand side of this page, what is listed there as solutions guides. And each one of these guides are unique in that it also contains a bill of materials for those applications listed there that you can have for, monitor just blanked out, all of the applications that are out there that kind of we discussed today. There is a Legrand AV solution laid out there in a PDF format, but the cool part about that is that you can actually download that PDF into an Excel file. And within that Excel file, you'll be able to manipulate that information. So if you have part of one system, say I need my audio from this room, or I like the connectivity in this particular application will work well for what we're trying to do, you can mix and match. But you've also got a great budgetary tool there because MSRP is listed. It also lists everything that is not provided by Legrand, whether it be the display or a third-party control system. And it also gives you a link to the product page for every SKU that's on there, as well as a link to the brochures, the CAD, the Revit models, every document that is associated with that SKU is all right there. Very powerful tool, really made to help you save you time on design work, as well as find the right parts and pieces that all work together. Very, very important to go check that out. Is one of the tools that I wish I had when I was on the integration side years ago. It would have been fantastic to be able to do that because you get all those calls like, what's a conference room cost me? Well, here's some options for you and some great ideas from Legrand that are already done and completed for you.
A cool thing about that as well is one of the downloads that are on that, it gives you an Excel file that if you have additional products that you're adding to the room, such you're putting in your own projector, you're putting in your own TV, you can add those models in there. And then the best part that I like is a lot of customers, when they're putting in bids, they email me and say, oh, can I have the brochures and downloads and cut sheets for all these products? Well, what do you know it? All the models have the cut sheets with a link next to them to be able to download that cut sheet directly. So as Rich said, a very powerful resource. A lot of my customers are going and downloading a few of these because then they have those cut sheets at their fingertips anytime. They can just do a quick search and see, hey, look for this part number, and it may come up in one of those files, so it's easy access to get that information.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, that you'll see from Legrand as the AV division is really more about systems and not trying to just sell you, you know, a product or a widget or whatever. It's really about a solution for you. And this is the great place to go find what those look like and what we can do as a company and how we can support you in your efforts out there in the field. In summary, yes, we're about up against the time here, so I want to make sure if there are any questions we can answer those. But we've been able to make the right connections with C2G and Legrand. We've overcome the challenges in connectivity. We know how to do that. Unfettered mobile device integration, we were able to get that through the connectivity, through our solutions, get it where it's needed, and overcome some of those distance limitations and work on our standards-based solutions out there. So we are your resource for your project design. And USB-C is becoming the connector for nearly every AV source device. So please make sure that you're up to speed on those, as this particular technology invades our marketplace and really is something that we need to manage. And also know that BAI and C2G are your partners in connectivity and solutions for all of your needs out there in the AV space. my email address for anybody who would like to reach out to me directly. You can also hit me up on LinkedIn. Any questions out there? If there's no questions, I will leave you with one final thought. Take with you. If it works, it's obsolete. So it's the way technology is nowadays, right? This slide was actually made on a presentation I did 7 years ago, but it's still true today. Technology is changing faster and faster. And what took years for HDMI to do in the marketplace, USB-C is going to do in a third of the time. So very exciting times that we live in, as well as very challenging times. And everybody, please stay safe out there. I know Florida has been one of the hot spots. Please stay safe and please stay healthy out there. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, guys. We did record this, so we'll send that over to you, Jim. And
Thanks,
please
Rich.
send us
Take care.
messages within the app if you guys have any additional questions. Looking forward to working with everyone.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.